Hi there. Welcome to another Wine Steward video. My name is Jim, and you are very, very welcome also to come to our mezzanine this weekend. Right now, how about that? I'll unlock the door for you. We're not quite open, but we can do things by appointment as well. At any rate, we have beautiful wines to tell you about, mostly about what's going on in the wine bar, but I wanted to start with this beautiful white Burgundy that we tasted the other night, along with, gosh, several others. About a dozen white Burgundies happened the other night for a very lucky group of people. Some of them, Chassagne-Montrachet and Pouligny-Montrachet, are 2021s, and arguably they're not ready to drink, but you have to jump on them now because we're only getting like 2 cases of each from that very short but very, very good vintage. And so the opportunity to taste the wines was a little bit qualified by the fact that they were still wound up and tight, but that's how 21s are. They are majestic aging Chardonnays, white Burgundies. That is, white Burgundy is Chardonnay from Burgundy, France. And the Chassagnes and the Poulignys were the greatest of them and the least ready, because some of the greatest wines are simply not really unwound upon release. You just have to grab them and put them in your temperature controlled cellar and wait and wait and wait. At any rate, here we've got is a wine that is a little more ready to drink. This is by a producer of Pouligny-Montrachet, Domaine Germain. We were showing his Pouligny-Montrachet that day, that evening, and we poured this earlier in the evening to demonstrate some value relative to Pouligny, which is like 80 bucks nowadays. This is grown like probably some of the fruit is from Pouligny and some is probably right across the tractor road and can therefore not be called that. But the glory land of Chardonnay is virtually represented in this wine that with your wine club discount actually gets into the 20s. And that's kind of hard to find nowadays with good stuff, especially chip off the old block, almost Pouligny-Montrachet. So get in on this while we have it. The cool thing is the labeling. I thought I should show you this bottle just to say I've never seen this until now, but apparently there's a new appellation designation that's appearing on white Burgundy and I guess red Burgundy. I haven't seen it yet there. But this is Bourgogne Côte d'Or. Bourgogne Côte d'Or means it's not just white Burgundy, meaning it could be grown up in Chablis, down in Macon, anywhere, and the producer thereof could be grabbing fruit from here, here, and here, and here, combining it to make probably a very good bottle of wine. But this is more site-specifically defined as Côte d'Or. In other words, all of the wine, all of the fruit came from the glory land, if you could call it, of Burgundy. The Côte d'Or, that narrow 31-mile-long strip of the Côte de Nuit and the Côte de Beaune. I can tell you, though, that this could even be more called, specifically called almost Pouligny-Montrachet, almost except for price, because the quality is here. And like I said, a little more ready to drink. Get in on this gorgeous white Burgundy, will you? Get to know this wine type. Now, it's time to talk about the wine bar theme. And as you have come to expect, I'm going to be demonstrating the use of some of the product. Notably this beautiful sparkling wine, which yes, I'm gonna put in a fat glass today. Sometimes I do that because it helps me smell this beautiful juice. What is this beautiful juice? Look at this beautiful label. This is called the Carte Turquoise, or turquoise, from a very, very good producer in Savagnier. Savagnier is in the Loire Valley. I believe it is probably the most important place in the entire world for the Chenin Blanc grape. They cannot call this one Savagnier because you can't have Savagnier Brut or bubbly represented. You can't have the place represented on a bottle of bubbly, I should say. But it's terrific. It's from Savagnier fruit. It's made by a master of Savagnier. Just the other day, Meredith and we were tasting 2018 and 2016 white wines from this guy. Still whites, non-bubbled, Beaumard Savagnier. Wonderful experience. And in the meantime, we have this. Forgot my spit bucket. Oh well. Bone dry. It's a brut, but creamy because it's Chenin Blanc. And that is a lovely way to start your experience at the Wine Bar Mezzanine with a sparkling alternative to champagne. So it's made the same way as champagne, but grown in the Loire Valley, not over there in Champagne. Not too far away. Gorgeous label, isn't it? Really nice wine. we have a white flight to tell you about. Okay, so let's get into that. I thought, what should we do now that the weather is finally beautiful and downright warm? We should have wines that are appropriate. And of course, white wine is becoming more and more appropriate as the days get warmer, right? So let's do a white wine bar flight, all of which will be represented in this glass shape. You want to use the skinny one to emphasize acidity. What does acidity do for your palate? It refreshes, it awakens, it makes you a little hungry, and it just applies a energetic experience overall. So let's do that with 5 different white wines. My pedestal is a little, this is not an earthquake, okay? We're gonna start, in fact, in Burgundy, and you would say, well, Chardonnay, is that really a refreshing wine? Yeah, it can be, from Burgundy especially, because of the acidity that is appreciated there. They pick a little less ripe, it's a little cooler, it's growing in limestone. All those things add the thing I keep calling energy to a white wine. Well, this is not Chardonnay. Excuse me, it's the bubble burp. This is the alternative to Chardonnay as grown in Burgundy. What is the other predominating white Burgundy grape? Aligoté. And we now have 2 on the shelf. Most shops have 0, but we are hip to the idea. Aligoté also represents very, very nice value in that you're getting a great white wine from Burgundy that automatically costs less. Aligoté just doesn't quite get the regard as the noble Chardonnay, and so we, the scrimpers and savers, get to save a little money on it. This is good though, very refreshing, lemony kind of an effect. Nice start to the flight. It's no oak, and it is not Chardonnay. It is Aligoté, and it is refreshing, and will be even more so in this skinny glass. See that? Okay. Wine number 2 in the flight is going to take us to Rías Baixas, Spain, because how can you have a refreshing flight of wine without good Albarino? This is our old friend back in the store, Gran Basan, a producer I got to visit back in September, finally. We've been carrying this wine forever, and I finally paid homage physically. I made my pilgrimage to Gran Basan, which is all of 2 or 3 miles in from seawater. And in fact, if you climb to the top of one of their vineyards, you are looking at one of the Rías. A Rías is a river inlet, or where a river meets the sea, kind of an estuary, you could call it. And that is the location for a lot of shellfish farming. All they do is eat seafood and drink Albarino here. Those two go so well together. And refreshing wine on a hot summer day do as well. And that's gonna happen here with 100% Albarino. Nervy, lime, beautiful, good wine. Fun label too, isn't that cool? Very antique-y. Next wine up. Well, what else is a good and delicious zinger that's becoming more and more popular at the Wine Steward? Yes, Vermentino. Vermentino from Sardinia. It also grows over in Tuscany, and it grows in the south of France, where it's typically called Rô. But here is Vermentino from, I believe, its best source in the world, the northern part of the island of Sardinia. Vermentino, zingy, but also a little more fleshy in the mouth, more like a melon lushness happens here. Wine number 4 in the flight. Let's stay in Italy, but go north. Let's go to the mainland and head all the way up toward the Dolomites. And those are beautiful, beautiful mountains. And this vineyard looks at them. This is called Adler Sauvignon. They don't even say Sauvignon Blanc, but that is the grape happening here. And ooh, it is jazzy wine. It's got a sassy, jazzy, nervy quality that again, if your palate is not already awake by the time you're having wine number 3, this is gonna like finish the job. Beautiful Sauvignon Blanc from northern Italy. Did you know they do that? I believe some of the best Sauvignon Blanc in the world comes from northern Italy. Check it out. Oh, the final wine. We want just a little more body because it's the final one of the flight, but we want to maintain refreshment. So let's go back to Rías Baixas, the western part of Galicia, Spain. Just above Portugal is where we are here on the Atlantic Ocean for another wine that does not say Albarino on the label, but if you read the fine print, you'll see this is in fact Albarino based, and there are 2 other grapes in play here, and they would be Caño Blanco, and by the way, this is the winery that kind of resurrected that grape, which was endangered and virtually wiped out of existence, just not planted anymore. But they are now propagating, and it makes this wine a little more richness, not too much. It's hot outside. We don't want rich white wine. Caño Blanco and Lorero. Interesting that you've got a bunch of fancy font on here, totally devoted to the Gallego dialect of Spanish, which looks a hell of a lot like Portuguese sometimes. And you are, in fact, adjacent to Portugal here. They grow Albarino too. They use a V instead of a B and so on, but same idea there. Anyway, beautiful way to finish the white flight. Now, in between, if you were to look at our menu, you would see that white flight is succeeded by two wines that are available only by the glass. And we always do like a white wine or a rosé, and then a red wine that we want you to know more fully by having a whole glass of it. The white wine does take us back to Burgundy. Yes, so we always try to represent Chardonnay somewhere on the menu. If it's not the flight, then we do a Chardonnay by the glass. Well, this is your Chardonnay by the glass. But it is not even saying Chardonnay anywhere on that front label. You've got Domaine des Nantes, that's the producer. You've got, in big bold print, the name of the location, Saint-Véran. And Saint-Véran is within the larger location of Macon, which is in the larger location of Burgundy. Remember, this is the place in the world where the fascination with location, where is that Chardonnay growing? Where is that Pinot Noir growing? Compared to just like 50 yards that way. People were identifying 1,000 years ago the differences between the flavors they were deriving from the soil here and the soil, like I could throw a stone over there and you would be in a place offering slightly different qualities in the wine. So that is what we love about this place. And that's why it's not just called Saint-Véran, which is the name of the, let's say, the village, but you've even got a single vineyard identified here, what they would call a UD, Les Maillettes. So all that over with, this is Chardonnay that has body, but it has nerve. It is both. It is delicious. It's great white Burgundy for under 30 bucks. You gotta load up on this. It is, as Burgundy is shooting up in price, it remains a great value. From the Macon, you can still get bitchin' Chardonnay for a decent price. Okay, that's by the glass. And then the red wine by the glass is pretty cool. We're gonna take you now to Slovenia for a wine called Epoca by a producer, Ferdinand. And this is going to be, I think, 60 or 70% Merlot. And the remainder is Cabernet. So you could call it a Meritage from Slovenia. A Slovenian Super Tuscan? That sounds weird, but it's really beautiful. It's definitely old world. It's got some Bordeaux qualities, but it's got fruit too. It's a nice savory glass of red wine. Would be really, really good with roast and mushrooms, I believe. It's got that kind of like earthy fruit thing going on. Really nice wine. Red flight. What shall we do with the red flight? I thought, why don't we keep this glass in play? You know how much we love this glass that we call the New World Pinot Noir glass. Right now I'm calling it my Savennier, can't call it Savennier, Brut glass. And we're gonna use this glass for all of the reds. Why? Because they're supremely aromatic. They're all, well, I called this flight the exotically scented red wine flight. In other words, these wines are not necessarily heavy. They are not big, bold Cabernets or Zinfandels, but they say a lot aromatically. We're gonna have some fun time smelling our wine this weekend. Let's take you first to a wine that I tasted about 3 weeks ago. It's been in my notebook with the corner of the page folded down so I would remember it. And finally, I pulled the trigger. I've told a few of you about this already, but the Chénat is now here. This is a Cru Beaujolais, meaning it comes from one of the 10 better neighborhoods within Beaujolais. Again, that fascination with place applies to Beaujolais as well. 100% Gamay from the Cru of Chénat. And it is exotic. That's all I can say. It's not funky. It's not, it is not harmed in the winery with too much air. You know, there's no VA going on. There's no Brettanomyces, but it has the exoticness of Gamay as grown in one of Gamay's absolute best locations, Chénat, the Cru of Beaujolais. That's wine number one. Let's go somewhere really cool. Up 3,000 feet on the island of Gran Canaria for a red wine. All they say is Tinto on the label by Fronton de Oro. Tinto simply means this is red wine. Well, it is a blend of two grapes, Listan Negro, which is the precedent or preceder of the Mission grape. If you've heard of the Mission grape, that was pretty much the first Vitis vinifera cultivated over here in the New World by the Mission fathers. This is the grape that spawned that grape. Listan Negro, grown in very, very volcanic soil. This place blew up, I think, in the 1700s, and now you have vineyards growing in that stuff. And the other grape would be, I can't remember, it's something else. We'll get back to that. At any rate, It's not heavy. It also doesn't look dark, but man, smell this wine. And you're gonna say, is that a volcano or is it the grape varieties talking? It's both. Really nice. Fun, fun, fun. Here's a wine that always smells like something. This is called Chinon. Chinon, well, is that the name of a grape? No, remember, we're in Europe in this case, and Chinon is the name, therefore, of a location. Often the biggest font on a European wine label is given to the location that we are drinking. It doesn't say what we're drinking. What, we think varietally over here. Chinon, when it's red, is always Cabernet Franc. They can add a little bit of this and that to it, but generally speaking, they're all 100% Cab Francs. If you've ever had red wine at a bistro in Paris, you were probably offered a glass of this. Maybe there was no Pinot, or there's certainly no Zinfandel, but you're sure to see Loire Valley red wine, which ordinarily consists of Cabernet Franc, sometimes Gamay, sometimes something called Côte, which is Malbec, but typically Cabernet Franc is the Loire Valley's red grape. And it's not like ours. It's only, what, 12.5%, 13.5% alcohol, lower body, more shrubbery in the fruit. I mean, it is fruit, but it's also a little bit shrubbish. It's good wine. You will especially understand it if you have sat in that Parisian bistro having a red wine along with foie gras and cornichon and all those nice things. Alrighty, let's stay in France. Let's go to Clos La Bartassade. And you're saying, what? Clos La Bartassade is a winery in a region called Terrasse de Larzac. It is the high country of the Languedoc. The Languedoc is a vast region representing much of the Mediterranean coast and inland a little bit. Well, this is inland farther in and further up, as they would have said in the Chronicles of Narnia. This is going to be a blend of Syrah, Mourvedre, and Grenache. And you're saying, well, does it taste like a Côte d'Aron? A little different, a little more mineral. It's got the same or similar flavors, but the feel tells you that you are in more mineral-rich soil and higher up in elevation, which can give you a more airy, a more lifted effect in the wine. The wine is elevated, just like the location. Anyway, beautiful wine from Terrasse de Larzac. I've now represented 3 or 4 from this region that people still haven't heard of yet, but I believe it's cool. We get one from Kermit Lynch, we get one from Martins, this one, and so on. So get into Terrasse de Larzac. I think they're really meaningful, thoughtful. If Rhone wines can be intelligent, I know they're often reckless and fun, but I think there's a little braininess going on here too. The final wine in the red wine flight, the flight that is exotically scented, will take us to the Willamette Valley of Oregon. Yes, this is J. Christopher Volcanique Pinot Noir. So yes, Pinot Noir, the fruit is represented in the wine, but you should also get a sense of place. This is from Dundee Hills within the Willamette Valley. Volcanic red clay is happening there, and I think you can feel that in this wine. Yes, there's generosity of fruit, but there's more. There is more. And we want you to smell it. Make sure you swirl, sniff, and smell all of these wines a lot. Thank you so much for watching these videos. We hope to see you soon. It's been a little slow lately, so come on in and stock up again. We have a lot of rosés coming in today. Perfect time for that, right, with this warm weekend. So we'd love to see you. Come upstairs, go downstairs, just get all over my wine steward, all right? Thank you.